Welcome into this Coaches Conversation edition here on Prep Red Zone, Oklahoma. The Owasso Rams are headed to the 6A1 state championship game for the second consecutive year. They're hoping for a different outcome compared to last year. It was an instant classic, but they're hoping to be on the other side this year around. And joining us now is Owasso head coach Bill Blankenship. And coach, before we get into the championship game, before we talk about your team, let's go back to last week. Big semifinal against the Jinx Trojans. Another instant classic between Owasso and Jinx. Just talk about the resiliency of your team to hold off a furious Trojan rally there in the second half. You guys were able to jump out early on them and put them in a hole that ultimately they weren't able to overcome. But man, they made it hard on you guys.
Well, I think it's one that would be a great study for everybody on I keep using the term warrior-like teams. I mean, guys that just will not take a loss, won't quit in any way, shape, or form, and continue to fight through. We were fortunate in that we actually won the toss, deferred. The advantage to that was we got the wind in the first quarter. We were able to get some 3-and-outs and some short fields because of them having to punt into the wind, and thankfully got on a roll and got some points. We needed every one of them by the time we got to the end. But by middle of the second quarter, after we switch ends, we had a couple of mistakes and get penalty flags after a touchdown and have to kick into the wind from our own 25. That's never good. A guy wearing number 2 on the other sideline, who we had tried to keep the ball away from the whole game, catches it, and 75, 80 yards later, he's in the end zone. So very quickly they get momentum back. Just different things happen over the course of the next quarter. We get a touchdown on a return as well. So we're kind of just fighting back and forth, getting some things going. But it was just one of those games that you knew they got back in range at halftime. We still had a good lead, but you just knew it wasn't going to be over. You're going to have to fight and claw and scratch, and the weather just kept getting a little nastier. And nothing that really changed other than it just was a grindhouse. And so the second half, we played excellent defense, but they kept making plays. We made a mistake in the kicking game and gave them a short field. That turned into points, and the next thing you know, I mean, it's a tie score, and we're right there, just slugging it out.
Let's talk about the 2025 Owasso Rams. And when you're talking about this year's team, you have to start the conversation with Jaden Hall, your senior running back. You and I talked back in September about his emergence as being the guy in the Owasso backfield. And man, ever since that conversation back in September, he has proven that week in and week out. I've continued to talk about this. He's one of the best running backs in Oklahoma.
No
There's not a
doubt.
question about it anymore. I've seen enough on my side of it. You've obviously seen him day to day. Just talk open floor to you, coach. You see him
Yeah.
every single day. You've seen his growth from his freshman year to where he is now. Talk about Jaden Hall, because he is a special player.
Well, this is a mouthful for me, but he is as good as any running back I've ever coached. He checks every box: speed, size, physicality, endurance, resilience, fights injuries, protects the ball. Ironically, had one of his very, very, very few fumbles in that game that was very hard to overcome. We still fought our way back. Catches the ball, protects. You can't ask for more. He's also an elected captain, unanimously almost. I mean, that should tell you all you need to know about Jaden Hall. I mean, he is a ball player, but his teammates respect him totally, and he is all about his team.
Here's the thing that I'll throw in, and it's not like you need me to throw in another thing about Jaden,
Yeah.
but what has impressed me so much this year is I was curious how it was going to look with him being the guy, 20,
Yeah.
25, 30 carries a game. How
Right.
is it going to look? In addition to that, you're missing some of those, big guys up front on the offensive line. One's at
Right.
OSU, one's at Arkansas. How is it going to look with an offensive line that maybe isn't as talented across the board as we saw from last year? And like I said, he has exceeded every single expectation. He's been one of the best running backs in Oklahoma. There's nothing else that should be said when it comes to him. He's a guy who can 100% play at the next level. Flipping to the other side of the ball, your
Hmm.
defense, again, that conversation back in September, you talked about how young this defense was coming into the season. And obviously, you took some licks early on in those first two games. But man, they've grown up in a hurry
Hmm.
and they've been playing some really good football this season.
Absolutely. We played the opening game with 9 new starters. When we say young, usually we're talking about experience wise. There are a bunch of seniors out there, but a lot of them are program guys, guys that have just been waiting their turn. And man, have we found a group that is passionate about defense. I think I need to tip my hat to Steve Neal, our defensive coordinator, his leadership with him and the staff. They've developed this into a group that has great pride. They run to the ball very uncommonly. That we tackle well. We have some really good players up front, but there are a lot of players playing on this defense that are not elite. They just are great high school players. And I don't mean that as a knock on any of them, but it is a group that is passionate about playing defense and getting to the ball, and I think it shows. I think they're fun to watch.
Yeah, and look, you do have a couple elite guys on
Yeah.
that defensive side of the ball, and there's going to be a lot of guys that end up playing, Division II football at the next
Hmm.
level if they want to go down that route. Really impressed with the growth of that unit. Offensively, a lot of the attention this season has been on Jaden, and rightfully so. But that
Hmm.
passing game is still there. Drew Frankenfield, he's still one of the better quarterbacks in the Tulsa area. The wide receiver position, we can't say enough about the talent there with Julius Wilson, Tay Bethel. The two of them are such an interesting dynamic because they do so many different things well, but they also, they balance each other out. Julius is more of a big target. Tay, get him the ball in space, and he's going to make
Hmm.
something special happen. While a lot of the attention on offense has been on Jaden Hall, and rightfully so, that passing game has still been potent this year.
Well, it has, and I think that's where maybe Drew is undersold a little bit. So much of our offense is about Drew managing, and I know it's sexy to call it RPOs and all that kind of stuff, but we really depend on him to get the ball out of the box when they've got guys loaded up on Jaden, and we get it to the guys that are getting covered. It was unique last Friday night because Coach Gaylor and his defense was absolutely adamant they were going to keep an extra hat on Julius nearly every time that they could and still get extra hats in the box. And it created the kind of game that Drew is kind of made for. I mean, quarterback runs became an issue. Getting the ball to the not just open receiver, but to the best part of the field. He hit check downs. He gets us into the right run. He gets us into the right pass. I can't say enough about the development of our junior quarterback, but the playmakers, the tight end, Colton Sudbeck, is special. And, we as coaches, Josh and I talking about a lot, Coach Pruitt and the guys, we just feel like we got a bunch of toys that we get to play with. I mean, some years you're out there and you don't have a lot of weapons. That is not the case. We spread it around. We figure out, what's the defense going to try to take away, and then how do we keep them from taking it away? And that's the fun part of coaching for us.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. I was watching some of your post game comments after the semifinal win over Jinx, and you talked about, making it to the championship game, and the quote you used was, just wanting to win the last one.
Mm.
How much does that drive you as a coach, and in this return to coaching? after the 1 year of retirement. How much does that,
Yeah.
just win the last one? How does that drive you compared to all the other, the 364 other
Mhm.
days out of the year?
Well, first of all, and this will come no shock to you, but there was probably a little bit cut off of that as far as the question that was asked. And it was about just, what's it like to, go win a and all that stuff. And really, that goes back to our belief and what our kids would tell you has been our goal from probably 8 years ago when we talk about it, is we talk about get in, get hot, win your last game. And so the question was about Bixby and about all that. And I said, look, we're just in it. We've been hot and we want to win the last game. And so that is our focus. We have an opportunity. We're practicing the last week. I don't think that a whole lot of people had us on their bingo card. I love that. I think we're still undersold in the state. I don't think people look at the statistics of the two winningest teams in the state. We still are not the splashy social media folks. We're still not the splashy transfer kids. But all we do is we find kids that go out and just get better and better and better. And we tend to play pretty good in November.
And now the calendar's turning to December,
Yeah.
and you get an opportunity to play in that last one. And the opponent is Bixby.
Yep.
And I don't need to tell you this, but I'm
Right.
telling the people watching, it's impressive what they've built. 12 straight
There's no
years
doubt.
now that they've
Yep.
played for a state championship. They've won 10 of the last 11, including 7 straight, the last 3 being in 6A1. When you look at the Bixby Spartans, what are your overall impressions on what you're going to see on Saturday night?
Well, if there's anybody that has seen them any more than the Owasso Rams, I don't know who that would be. And so, we're getting 2 games a year. People don't have to paint the picture for us. We know what we're up against. We know that this is a team that, not a team, a program that Coach Montgomery and his staff have built that is just incredible. What they do, how they do it, how they go about it is very machine-like. It's not lost on us that the rest of the country has figured it out. I mean, they're number one in a couple of ratings, and I think it's justified. That's not a wink on my part. I just think they're really good. I think they play really well. And thankfully, we're not looking to win a 7-game series. We get to go in and on one night get a shot. And so our guys are excited.
Let me ask you this, because it just popped into my head, and I don't know why I haven't connected the dots sooner. Maybe someone else has. You're in an interesting spot here where you're going up against Bixby 2 times, like you mentioned, 2 times a year, essentially. And we know the run that they're on. You also were in essentially this same position 2 decades ago at Union, watching the Jinx dynasty begin and develop, and what Coach Trimble was able to do and what he was able to ultimately build over there. How does this dynasty compare to the one that you faced, 20, 25 years ago?
Very similar in some ways. And I'm just talking about our experience.
Yeah.
Because we were able to get to the finals and we didn't win it. And I can go back through the whole thing. In 94, we got there and didn't win it. 98, we got there and didn't win it. Starting in 98, nearly all the times it was Jinx. We got there in 99 and didn't win it. 2000 and didn't win it. All those were Jinx. Finally, we broke through in 02 and we win 3 out of the next 4. But there's something about breaking through. And for our guys mentally, the breakthrough was at home last year against Bixby, in that they saw the matchup as it was, and then we played tooth and nail in the opening or in the championship last year, and then this year we took a step back in the opening game, and so we'll find out where we are. I like I said, I like the idea of getting us another shot because we've checked every other box to get there. We've beaten Broken Arrow and we've beaten Union and we've beaten Jinx now and the other teams we had to do to get our shot. And so our guys will be relaxed and we'll go in and do it. It's not lost on us that we will be a huge underdog. and I don't even think we mind it.
Underdogs win, though. Yeah, it's not.
They
That's why
don't win unless they're in it, Michael, and that's the whole thing. We're in it, and so we got a shot.
yeah, the ball's going to be teed up, at
Yep,
7 o'clock on Saturday night, and you got 48 minutes. And
absolutely.
what you do in between that time will decide who wins the state title.
Right.
We mentioned the step back, so to speak, in August. They come out. Obviously, they were very experienced coming off of last year. They had a lot of starters back. You guys were relatively young on the defensive side of the ball. Is there anything you can take away from that August meeting, knowing that not only are you guys very different than what you were back then, but they're also different as well?
Yeah, I just remind our guys of the 2024 August meeting, and there was a change that happened in the Bixby team from the first meeting to the second meeting, and I believe there's been a change in the Owasso team from our first meeting to the second meeting. Will it be enough? Who knows? But I love the fact that we have been able to steadily go about getting ourselves a little better, and earn an opportunity to see how we match up.
Then finally, we're ending all these conversations with the same question. It's an easy question to ask. It's not an easy answer. But what has to happen for you guys to take down Bixby when it matters the most, under the bright lights of Edmond, and bring home another state championship to
Well, I think the biggest thing is we've got to play Owasso football. Don't be pulled into playing some other version of it because we're playing the defending champion. We've done pretty good the last 10 weeks. We need to play that kind of football and need to play it a little bit better. We just need to the same improvement we've made the last 10 weeks. We need to make that kind of percentage improvement this week as we practice, and we'll be ready to go.
Coach, as always, man, I appreciate your time today. Good luck on Saturday night. Looking forward to it. And if we can get another overtime classics, go ahead and sign me up.
All right.
I'll be looking forward to that. But it should be another great matchup between Bixby and Owasso on Saturday. Thanks so much, and congrats on making it back to the title game.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate you.
That's Owasso Ram head coach Bill Blankenship. This has been another coaches conversation leading up to the state championships. Check out our YouTube channel for more of these coaches conversations. We'll have Lauren Montgomery in another video you can check out. We'll have coaches conversations for the 5A and the 6A2 state championship games. And of course, you can check out all of our state title coverage starting on Thursday, leading up all the way until the end of games on Saturday night in Edmond. For Coach Blankenship, I'm Michael Knight, and this has been another edition of the Coaches Conversation here on the Prep Red Zone Oklahoma YouTube channel.